everybody. How are you on this lovely Wednesday night? Today is February 28th, and we're talking about injectables. It is the hot topic. I'm Dr. Sinta, and I'm going to wait a second for people to join, but I'm super excited about this topic. I love busting myths, and there is just so many shenanigans going on with the injectables that I want to make sure that if you are interested in getting on them, or if you're on them now, that you have the right information, because there's a lot of lies out there. So I'm going to wait just 1 second, but I hope you guys are doing well. I don't know how the weather is out by you. It's very crazy here. It's been snowing and raining, and the wind is super, super high right now, so I'm hoping that we don't get cut off, but we'll just do the best we can. All right, so let's start. Since it's taken a little bit for people to join, I am gonna just start out by bringing some things up. Uh-oh, frame rate is too low. Set the frame to 15, 16. I wonder if this is related. All right, let me know if you guys have any problems. I'm kind of hoping that people get on and tell me if things are wrong. There we go. Okay. Finally, some life out there. Hi, you guys. Thank you for joining me, Elena and Cindy. And please tell me if there's something wrong with the frames, if it's going too low. I'm getting a warning message right here that's saying that it's too low, and I don't know if it has something to do with our internet or anything like that, or if it's even important. But let's begin. Samantha, how are you? Marie, nice to see you. Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. Hey, Jennifer. Thanks for joining. Let's talk injectables. Lisa, how are you? Welcome to our Facebook Live on injectables. This super steamy, exciting topic about how to get skinny with the magic pill. Injectable. So yeah, that was purposefully a pun when we put that on there. But our weight loss injectables, your magic pill, that is what this is all about today. So let's get started, and people can join along the way. And as you guys know, it's loose and light. You can ask questions as we go. And I just want to get into it, okay? So first of all, injectables, the drugs. So there's two main drugs out there. One is called semaglutide, and the other one's called tirzepatide. Okay, so semaglutide, you've probably heard of as Ozempic, which was approved in 2015 for diabetes only. It's a weekly injectable. And then it is also, in 2021, came out remarketed. I'm going to say remarketed because it's exactly the same drug, put in cute little single dose pens, and they now call it Wegovy. The dosing is slightly different, a little bit higher, but it's the same drug. Okay, hi Kathy, how are you? Nice to see you there. So that is semaglutide. And then the second one, which came out a little bit later, is called tirzepatide. It came out in May of 2022. It was approved as Mounjaro initially for diabetes. You've probably heard about that drug. It was everywhere. And then in November of last year, we hear about Zepbound, which is essentially the same exact drug, now approved for weight loss. So why is it important to know about these drugs' names and to kind of be somewhat happy when you see something approved for weight loss that was previously approved for diabetes? Well, there are trends in the coverage components of these, and you will start to see certain patterns in insurance companies. Even if you have different insurances, there's still a pattern of what they will cover and what they will have available. So it's good to know what is being covered now, so that you can talk to your health insurance carrier and find out if they're covering it. Okay, so Melissa, how are you? Welcome. Yay! So nice to see you here. All right, now so those are the two drugs. Now they're both weekly dosing, and hang on 1 second, sorry. It's uncanny that people always, from my family, who should know, call me during my Facebook Lives. But anyhow, not answering that right now. All right. Hi, Samantha. How are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, so semaglutide, tirzepatide, semaglutide, Ozempic, and Wegovy. Okay, it's once a week dosing. It covers it's a GLP-1 receptor agonist. It's the only receptor it hits. GLP-1's in our brain makes us less hungry. It's also in our gut, and if you hit it at the gut, it affects the way fat is absorbed in insulin as well. It also, even though they don't claim this, we know that it decreases gastric emptying, so how fast the food goes through your gut. That can affect bowel motility and can lead to bowel issues if you're someone who is vulnerable to that. Okay, so that is semaglutide. Tirzepatide we talked about is Mounjaro, and also recently Zepbound. It hits GLP-1 receptors and GIP receptors, a newer receptor, which is an insulin receptor. We don't know much about this receptor, but what I do know is that when people take this particular drug, it seems to help with other addictions, including smoking, gambling, other things. And it also, so other addictions besides food, which is very interesting, but it also does something to mood. And people who are on Mounjaro and Zepbound tend to feel much better mood-wise, sleep better, that kind of thing. So we know it's doing something with serotonin, which is good if you get the drug, bad if you can't, or bad if you start to get it and not be able to get it, that kind of thing. Sherry, nice to see you. All right, so those are the drugs. Any questions about the drugs? Hopefully you know them. We have been dealing with these drugs for a long time. They actually started coming out in 2001 as daily dosing, but then 2015 with weekly had better side effect profile, were better for weight loss, and then have been coming out up until last year at the end of the year with the most recent on the market, Zepbound. All right, let's talk about the good with these drugs, okay? So first of all, these are, if you are someone who struggles with hunger, these are the best drugs that have come out yet to help with appetite suppression, okay? So medication-wise, hit the receptors in your brain and make you less hungry, slow down how the food goes through your stomach, which makes you less hungry. Both of those things can really make a profound effect on how much food you're eating, okay? At the very high doses of these drugs, it can actually turn off your appetite center completely, which is good and bad, okay? When you have it turned off completely, you may not want to not only not eat, but not drink. So that's something we see with these things. So it's great to turn it off, but you've got to dose it right so that you're not drinking and not eating, okay? So that's another thing. Now, they help with appetite suppression. Definitely the tirzepatide helps with addictions. So if you are someone who struggles with binging, if you have cross addictions like smoking or alcohol or gambling, as I mentioned, or other things, it really does help with all of your addictions and tends to suppress all of them, which is a great thing. It also, as I mentioned, seems to help with mood. Definitely the semaglutide does a little bit, but very profoundly with the tirzepatide. So that's another wonderful thing. And again, as I mentioned before, I've been in the weight loss world for a long time, since 2006. I've never seen drugs that are so powerful at turning off appetite completely. So if you're someone who's been hungry your whole life, has never been able to get full, maybe you had insulin resistance growing up, these medications will hit that switch and make you full. So they're very powerful from that direction, or from that perspective. All right, Casey. Oh, hi. How are you? Wow. Nice to see your name. Nice to see your face. Okay. So that is that with the good. Now let's talk about the bad and the ugly. So this is where it gets a little scary and where it becomes very, very important to be followed carefully. So these drugs, as I mentioned, can shut off your appetite center completely. I have people who at the higher doses are not interested in food, don't even think about food, will go to bed realizing they hadn't eaten anything. And worse is they haven't drank either, because the thought of any of that just gets clicked off. That's not normal human behavior. And so I've never really been in a place where we have drugs that I have to actually lower so that people eat and so that they drink. All right, so that is a big problem I'm seeing. And I don't think many of us in the obesity world expected to see that. So that is something we're kind of all talking about and trying to figure out what to do. And the big answer is sometimes you have to lower the dose and lower it significantly till you find that sweet spot where that person has appetite control, but also is able to drink and eat and have some stimulation to prompt them to go do it, because otherwise they won't. They do decrease gastric emptying. So if you're someone who eats fast, if you're like we grew up and the food was on the table and we had to all eat it so that no one else would eat it, you know, there was a specific amount and it was like a race to the finish. So we tend to be fast eaters in my house growing up. So for people who are fast eaters, or if you just start, you know, don't pay attention and suck it down, you're going to get sick on these drugs when you first start taking them, because you can't push food down that's not going through the stomach. When they slow down gastric emptying, that food's going to come back up. So you have to pace the food and eat more slowly for most of these medications. Okay. Now the other thing is, if you have something, a condition where you just naturally have slower bowel movements, there's a condition called gastroparesis. You don't even know sometimes that you have that. You just have adjusted your eating habits to fit that. What will happen with these medications is you are very, very prone to bowel obstructions if you take these medications, which is scary, because if you get a bowel obstruction, at first you could die. If you get a bowel obstruction and don't know what it is, you definitely could end up on the operating table before you even, you know, what caused it. So it is really, really important. I'm going to say this over and over again, but it's important to be followed by a medical team when you are on these drugs, because there's so many pieces of the puzzle and nuances that need to be taken care of, and you have to know what to do and what to look for as a clinician when you are on these things. So I think that is super important. Now here's something that's happening in our field, in the field of medicine, which we weren't prepared for, any of us. How does this affect anesthesia, right? So most of our drugs go through the liver, pass through the gut, you know, and if everything is being processed slower, do you lower the anesthesia? Do you not? There's a whole lot of science that has to change because these drugs are slowing things down. For people who are going and getting colonoscopies now, it's about a 2-week time frame that you have to be off of these medications so that your bowels will be cleared so that you can have a good prep for a colonoscopy. So that's something new that's going on. Another thing is just, what about our gut health in general? If things are slowing down, are we more prone to infections? Are we more likely to get viruses? Could we develop irritable bowel more easily? All these things are just like questions that, you know, we're seeing and we're trying to deal with, but we're not really sure about the answers because it's just a whole new field, right? So those are all things that you know, we are contending with. Also, how does slowing your gut affect other medications you're taking, right? So if you're on insulin at least goes through the bloodstream, but if you're on anything oral that's going to go through the gut, especially if you're a diabetic, how is it going to affect your sugars, and how long will it take for your sugars to come down compared to before you took that medication? So all these factors play in when we're trying to figure out the kinds of things we're seeing with these medications, and worse yet, the kinds of things that are being missed because they're not being followed by a clinical team. All right. So now, this is the most important point I want to make, and that is this: because people don't eat on these meds at higher doses, they can lose weight and they can see a beautiful number on the scale. But the problem is this: when you don't eat, you lose muscle. When you lose muscle, you lose protein that keeps nutrients in your body, in addition to the nutrients themselves. Your metabolism drops down profoundly. Your albumin in your bloodstream, which is responsible for taking care of infections and nutritional components of being healthy, that drops down to someone who's starving sometimes. I've seen it in the blood work. Okay? But if you're not being followed, how are you even going to know this is happening? You probably won't know until it's too late, and you're getting sick. You're constantly getting colds. You're catching everything that comes around. Why is this happening to me? No one had told me that this was going to happen. That kind of thing. So it's so important to have a nutrition plan. I'm also seeing people come in profoundly dehydrated because they're not drinking, and that is again related to the fact that they're not getting stimulated to drink. So again, if you're not being followed by a clinical team to monitor these kind of things, you can end up in big trouble. And I have seen people come to my practice who come from other places or maybe getting a counterfeit product. There are many of them out there, and are not being monitored appropriately. So you have to have a good nutrition plan when you do this. It's so important to eat something that is high protein so that you maintain your metabolism, you keep your protein up so that everything stays in the vessels it should, and that you don't starve to death or develop nutritional deficiencies. Okay? So, did I make my point clear on that one? Nutrition plan, super important. Sometimes you have to lower these drugs because they're so strong. Okay? And if you're not getting followed and nobody is keeping an eye on this, you could be in big trouble. All right? Okay, so now, sorry, let me go back. Okay, so another thing is the muscle mass. When you're losing muscle, it slows your metabolism, which means it's going to be harder for you to continue to lose, but also maintain that weight loss when you hit maintenance time. So that's a whole nother issue that you have to watch out for. Okay, so we already talked about that. You can develop what we call skinny fat. What's skinny fat? Skinny fat is when your number on the scale looks good, your BMI is good, but your fat percentage is high. Okay, and that's happening because you're not getting enough protein, and you may be, eating more carbs. Most of us do when we're left to our own vices. So it's really important to make sure that you take care of that too. Completely agree, especially concerning the compound medications that we don't know what is in them and you're not being monitored. Yes, Melissa. Melissa's a nutritionist, and she has seen this from the nutritionist point of view too, just like we were just saying, and always need to be followed by an MD and nutrition team. Hallelujah. You are preaching to the choir, Melissa. I love it. All right, so we already talked about the under eating, under drinking. Okay, this is a problem too. Are you guys with me? Just tap the screen or hit the likes or whatever so that I know you're following me. And because things are a little slow over here, what's coming through, just let me know. All right, now, when the dose changes, so these are drugs that you have to, with injectables, step up slowly from dose to dose. And you usually take about 4 weeks to go from the starting dose to the next dose and then the next dose. And if you go up too fast, you will get sick because your gut's not used to having the GLP-1 in your system to the degree that it is as you increase the dose. It's also not used to being slower, which is what the GLP-1 does. So when you start and stop these drugs because of either a supply chain issue, your insurance issue, accessibility, whatever, you are going to get sick if you try to go back to the previous high dose. Okay, so this is a huge problem with these medications. You can step down, fine, but stepping back up, if your insurance company is only going to give you, say, the 2 milligram dose and then you don't get it for 4 weeks, you don't have anything else to use, so you go back to that 2 milligram dose, you're going to get really sick. Okay, so that's its own problem because people will be vomiting at home for days, weeks, and not even consult a physician or a provider. So that is a really important piece of the puzzle. Okay, thank you, Lisa, for letting me know that you are all still alive. All right, so I think that is those are the big take-home points. Okay, here's another thing, and this is I don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but this is important too. If you're on a medication that affects your mood, like serotonin, especially with the tirzepatide, what's going to happen to your mood if it started and stopped? If the dose is available, then not. If a different dose is available, then you have to go lower, or you suddenly have to go higher. Your serotonin is going to go like this, okay? So your mood is going to be all over the place. I'm definitely seeing that. I'm seeing sleep affected by that, which is the serotonin thing. Mood affected by that. Energy, fatigue, anxiety, all those kind of things that are serotonin issues are affected by starting and stopping these medications. So they're not benign in any, by any stretch. I don't want you to think that as I'm saying these things that I don't like them. They've been a wonderful adjunct to my medical practice. Could I survive without them like I did before they came? Absolutely. Okay, so keep in mind this isn't the only way to lose weight. But for the right people, they're good, but you always have to be followed by a medical team, and you always have to have a plan in place. Okay, and please know that if you don't see the face of a provider on the other side, if you're doing an online program, chances are there isn't one, okay? And we have come across this many times as we're looking at programs in our office. We will play with the bots and try to get the bots to answer questions. What you're seeing here is unprecedented. You're seeing very dangerous drugs going out directly by the pharmaceutical industry, okay, who's teamed with, like, Walmart's a good example. They have a program, and some other programs out there. There is no medical supervision, and there's no medical person even on the other line. It's a bot, okay? Very scary, particularly with all the issues that I just mentioned. So be careful. There's little pop-up places opening up all over the place, and, you know, they sell the drug for an unusually low price. It's not the drug, okay? It's something else. Please, please, please be careful about the counterfeit stuff that's out there. All right. So, take-home point is, if you're going to go on these medications, which are very good, but have their side effects, do it the right way, and do it with a multidisciplinary approach. Going to a physician, clinical team, obesity medicine person, some nutritional help, whatever you need to do to make sure it is rounded by a clinical team that can follow you during the process, okay? So why is that so important? I think we've talked about it a little bit, but let's just go over a couple of things that you may not be thinking of. I mean, there are ways to lose weight without any medications whatsoever. It's called diet and exercise, along with getting rid of certain things that you might be on that are causing weight gain, that have been perhaps prescribed to you a long time ago, and also adding nutritional supplements that can help as well. So there's a lot of ways to skin a cat when it comes to weight loss. It isn't all about injectables. You're not going to know that if you don't get into a program that has a clinical team, okay? Please know that when you're going around and you're shopping and you're finding very, very cheap Ozempic, you're being played, because it doesn't exist. These drugs are not cheap. We can bring the cost down with the compounding, but they're still expensive. And if you find something that is very cheap and doesn't kind of match up with what you're seeing out there, it's not the drug. So please, please, please understand that. Okay, now, as you lose weight, you lose diseases, okay? Weight loss causes improvement and reversal in type 2 diabetes. In many people, not all if you've had diabetes for a super long time, but many, many, many with weight loss can reverse their diabetes. Sleep apnea. Your thyroid dose usually gets lowered. Your blood pressure goes down profoundly, and usually get off your blood pressure meds, or at least some of them. Cholesterol, okay? Fatty liver. Things that you have to adjust dosing for. Or, we like at our practice to get you off of as much as we can. If we have to put an injectable or something else like phentermine on there to help you stay that way, it's still win-win, because you're getting rid of some stuff you don't need to be on for chronic diseases, okay? Who's going to do that when you're not being monitored? Who's going to look and see if your meds aren't too high, or if you're taking things that you shouldn't be taking? You have to have a clinical team monitor you for these things. So it's another reason why it's so important to go to a multidisciplinary team. Okay? And sometimes the weight gain is caused by a medical problem that is seen in the blood work. So if you're, again, like, this is just unprecedented, and it's just crazy to me. If someone's not looking at your blood work and not trying to see what's going on that could be causing the weight, which we often find, then you're treating the problem, but you're not treating the actual cause of it. You may be winning the war, but losing the battle, winning the war, losing the war, winning the battle. You know what I'm saying? Either way, someone help me. I'm so bad at those things. Okay, so anyhow, that's basically the main things that I wanted to stress with the injectables. So I have some questions that came in, but I do want to check and make sure that I've answered anything or that you may have had with what the information is that I presented. So throw them up there if you got them, and otherwise I will go with the ones that I have. All right, so I don't see anything coming in right now. Let me hit you with the ones I got. And you're very welcome, Lisa. Thank you for my thank you. Hopefully that helps. I think it's so important to understand that there's a lot of lies out there, and that we really need to, get the facts straight. All right. I got about 5 or 6 questions, and then we'll close up. If you have any, just throw them in the chat as we go, okay? So James asked, how do I afford these medications if I lose my insurance coverage? So this is a big problem. And I think that, again, it is more so with these drugs than any other drugs out there that there's this crazy supply chain beginning, and there's this one, there's not that one. You know, you get the feeling that somebody's, you know, screwing with you, which they are. And certain ones are being covered, certain ones are not available, but they'll cover them, like is happening now. So, so this is something that we see all the time, and we're just trying to, you know, keep our heads above water as we chase it. But the thing that I would say is, for James, you can combine the injectables with other medications, or you can use other medications to replace them. So something we do at our office is we love the drug phentermine. It's been around a very long time. It's the only one out there that increases metabolism. So it's a very useful one, and we combine that a lot of times with something that's going to help with cravings. So phentermine helps with metabolism increase and decrease hunger. Decrease hunger similar to the injectables. But then we might add something like Topamax or Vyvanse to help with the cravings. So that worked before injectables, and it continues to work now. So there's other options that you can do as well, in addition to the injectables. Okay, another thing you can do is, you know, there are trends going on right now. So one of the trends we're seeing is, you know, as Zepbound made its way to the market, all of a sudden, all the insurance carriers were covering Zepbound and not covering Wegovy, which is another weight loss drug, as I mentioned, semaglutide, which is marketed by Novo Nordisk. So now we see a shift in insurance coverage away from Wegovy and towards Zepbound. So as we see these things, we try to warn people or remind them to contact your insurance company, see if they cover the one that we're seeing coverage on now, which is the Zepbound. Now, Wegovy was covered for a period of time and had great availability, but now, you know, they'll tell us it's covered, but there's no availability. So there's so many pieces to the puzzle here for coverage. We just are constantly kind of like, you know, ping-ponging around trying to keep an eye on it. So, okay, I see a question over here. I think I answered his completely. Yeah, so combine with other medications if you can't get them. Talk to your insurance company. If you've lost good weight, great. Sometimes they'll let you switch over to a different one. They want you to lose about 5%, you know, usually to call it a weight loss, a weight loss. I want to say whatever the opposite of failure is. I'm having a hard time with words today. A victory. And then they will continue to cover it after that. I'm at a standstill, says Kathy, taking 2 milligrams of Ozempic for quite a while now. Do the effects max out? Should I keep taking it? Is it really giving me the benefit? Okay, so I'm going to tell you that what I see a lot with the 2 milligram dose, because it is so high and it is so appetite decreasing that people tend to undereat on that dose. So if I were seeing you, I would probably either lower it to 1.5 or I would take a really, really careful look at what you're eating and make sure you're getting everything in that was on your plan, okay? Now, in general, if you weigh, say, 200 pounds and you want to maintain your muscle mass as you lose, you want to get half your weight in protein, okay? So 100 grams. So if you're not getting that in, there's, you know, 2 things that could be happening. You could be under eating and losing muscle, and then your metabolism's dropping, and that's why the weight's not coming down. Or you could just be completely not eating in general, not drinking enough, as I mentioned, which can cause it too. So sometimes the answer is bring the med down. Sometimes it's, you know, bring it down but add something else. Sometimes it's just add something else. Sometimes it's a water issue. Sometimes it's a plan issue. What we do at our office is we follow people down, and then, you know, if they start to stall out, we switch something. And oftentimes it can be, you know, changing the nutrition plan. So I'll switch someone from like keto to intermittent fasting, or to something more like a primal plan. This screws the brain up and it helps the weight loss to start again in a different way. So there's a lot of different things you can do for that, Kathy. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully I'll get to see you next time so that we can work through this. Okay, Jennifer, yes. Oh God, poor Jennifer. Jennifer has to take care of all of our prior auths and everything. It is literally a nightmare. It is. Because what we're seeing right now is coverage for meds that aren't available. So thanks for the coverage. Thanks for, helping us or having us walk through this whole process only to know that there's nothing available. So you covered something knowing that it's not available. They know this, right? Or a new drug comes out and all of a sudden everybody covers that. And, some people don't know about it. They're doing well on their current drug. All of a sudden the coverage drops for the current drug. We've seen a lot of that happening. Total shenanigans, total foolery. We just do the best we can. For patients who need to come on and off the meds for lack of coverage, are they continuing with regular follow-up supportive to prevent weight regain? Some are, some aren't. Some we lose. But we do have a good maintenance program with our practice. And it's so, so important, everybody, if you're in a weight loss plan, to just not think of this as weight loss. Get to your goal and then work on a maintenance plan to stay there. Maintenance is different than weight loss. It's a focus on exercise more. It's a focus on weighing yourself every day, following up with really good habits, monitoring your behaviors regularly, getting in more natural and real food versus like supplemental food, which is great for weight loss and can be good for maintenance, but you want to be able to have more variety too, and you want to be able to eat healthy, drink your water, stay active, all those kind of things. All right, sounds good, Kathy. That looks great. Yeah, she's awesome. You like Cindy. We have one girl out on maternity leave. We're waiting for that baby to drop from Shania. Hopefully it'll be soon. All right, so I think I answered everything over there. Let's keep going. I've got a question from Michelle. She said, how can I make sure I'm getting a safe product? That is a great question. So first of all, if you're going to a medical doctor who specializes in this field of weight loss, then you will get most of the time, I can't say universally, but a good product if you are getting it through their office. I will tell you, for us, we offer compounding of both tirzepatide and semaglutide, and we order it through the same compounding pharmacy that we've ordered all of our medications for, like hormones and things like that, for a very long time. So it's a reputable group. They're very consistent with the products. We see identical weight loss with patients who get the compounded versus ones who have insurance that get the brand name. And so that's one way you'll know, is get it from a reputable source. Don't go for something that's cheap. Don't find the lowest cost. If you see something that is just a drug-only thing, or a quick intake and then just the drugs, don't do it. I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. We've seen so many disasters with things like that. So that is how you can help. Make sure there's a human on the other side and not a bot. This is what medicine is trending towards, and it's a dangerous precedent. Another dangerous precedent that medicine is trending towards is direct-to-consumer distribution of medications. Now you've got no middleman in there, making sure that what the pharmaceutical company is giving you is safe, the right dose for you, and appropriate. The two areas that used to stall this, or that, that they're trying to get rid of, are the pharmacies themselves, okay? So the pharmacist and the workers there, that's a layer of protection for you as a consumer for the medications, to make sure there's not side effects with other medications, the wrong doses isn't written, all sorts of different things. That's the wonderful thing about going to the pharmacy. They've taken care of a lot of that, and they've communicated with the medical team to make sure that, is this what you wanted? Did you want to put this with this particular medication? There's this side effect, that kind of thing, okay? They're working on getting that out, and they're working on replacing us with AI and bots. So this is something that we need to fight against, and we really are going to have to, rise up as a country, and truthfully globally, because it's happening everywhere, to not have the people that are here to protect you replaced by, AI and bots. All right, Shania's in labor. Hallelujah. There's going to be a baby, a medical weight loss baby. Awesome. All right. That's very exciting. Okay. So next is, hopefully I answered that one okay. Next is Tina, who mentioned, once I started injectables, do I have to stay on them forever, or will I gain all my weight back if I stop? Okay, this is a question I get over and over again, and I like this question because it sort of talks about, you know, the principles of weight maintenance, weight loss maintenance, which is keeping the weight off that you lose. So with injectables, or with a good diet and nutrition plan, or with phentermine, or with anything that you use to get you to your goal, okay? If you change the things that you had done to get you there, including taking off a medication that's working for a disease, yes, you will gain the weight back. It is not specific to the injectables alone. It's specific to anything that you do to help with weight loss. Medication-wise, it's really important to understand this. When you lose weight, your metabolism drops, okay, because you're going to use muscle, and that's what drives metabolism, okay? It drops by 15 to 25% sometimes even higher, depending on how good you are with your protein as you eat. Okay, so metabolism drops. Hunger hormones raise up, making you more hungry. Satiety hormones go down. It's a triple whammy: lower metabolism, higher hunger, lower satiety. Okay, so now you have three things that you're fighting against when you get into maintenance. Keeping the medications on, as long as they're safe, and the GLP-1s have been proven to be safe if they're written for the right people in the right time. We've got 20 years of data on them now. Okay, they're safe to take long term. So is phentermine, so are other Contrave, so are other weight loss medications that have been out there for a while. They're meant to be taken long term, because as soon as you pull that medication away, you don't have that protection against the dropping metabolism and the rising hunger, okay? Now, it's all about keeping everything, you know, in play and not counting on any one thing like a medication. So you've still got to exercise. You still got to follow your nutrition plan. You still have to drink your water. You still have to get enough sleep, okay? Anytime you abandon those things, you're in trouble no matter what you do. But the medications do help make maintenance easier, and they are safe to take. And I always use the example of, you know, if you're have high blood pressure and you get on some meds to bring your blood pressure down to a normal reading of 120/80, do you stop them when you get there? No. Okay? You stay on them because they're keeping you there. Now, if you lose weight, you can get off of them. But during that time, you stay on them. Same thing with diabetes. Same thing with any other disease. So why would you go off the medication that helped you get there when it can keep you there? Okay? That's not to say that if your injectable is pulled away, are you screwed? You know, you're not, because there's other things we can put on to do the same thing. Okay? So that is the answer to that question that I get all the time. I hope that helps. All right, let's see. Is there anything else here? Okay, we're talking about Shania. That's good. That's good. Let's get that baby out. All right. Samantha on Facebook said, are injectables safe for patients with irregular heart rhythms such as tachycardia and PVCs? So the answer is this. I would not go on anything with tachycardia or PVCs that are not controlled. So it's very important before you do any kind of weight loss program that you are seen by a physician who can clear you for weight loss. Okay? So once that's all settled, then as long as they are controlled and you get the okay by your cardiologist or your primary care doctor, whoever is working on this, then yes, they are absolutely safe to take. They protect your heart. They don't cause heart problems. The weight loss itself is the biggest factor. The obesity itself is the biggest factor in causing cardiac complications because it promotes the diseases that all lead to cardiac problems. So yes, absolutely, it is safe to take. Believe it or not, it's safe to take phentermine also in that case, which is a medication that they love to throw under the bus because of the fen-phen days. Fen-phen's no longer out. The medication that caused valve problems is no longer out there, called fenfluramine. So it's guilt by association with the name. But most of these drugs are safe to take long term, even with cardiac history or cardiac problems. But you always want to get cleared first. Okay, so Samantha, I'm on metoprolol, which seems to slow the weight loss, even on a full plan. I hate that drug, Samantha. It is my least favorite. Ask anybody who works with me, because it's a medication that the cardiologists love to put on because there's, studies by the drug companies that prescribe these or that make these medications that this drug is great for your heart. I say the opposite. And I can, I'm going to go with my, 20 or 16 to 20 years worth of anecdotal data that every time someone's on metoprolol, they gain weight. When they gain weight, they become hyperlipidemic, even more hypertensive. They need more medications to control their blood pressure. Next, they become diabetic. Next, they have renal. Next, they're getting bigger again, so they start to have renal problems, kidney problems, and end up, going on a med for that. So, hate it. Get off it as soon as you can. Make sure if you're seeing us, Samantha, that you remind us to pull that off as soon as it's possible. Okay. And most of my patients are off the beta blockers before they reach maintenance, because they bring your metabolism down to about by about a third. So it's just the worst. It's the worst combination of things. I hate that drug. All right. Beta blockers in general. You may be on toprolol, you may be on metoprolol, you may be on propranolol. Those are all beta blockers. Anything that ends in an OL. Okay. How we doing? We're almost done. Couple more. Robert, what is going on with supply issues and insurance coverage with these medications? Damned if I know, Robert. I just know there's a whole lot of shenanigans. That's all I know. We're being played. We are being played. We are being played. So here's what's happening. They're trying to cause, I'm just going to, I'm always going to give it to you real, and I'm always going to be honest with you. They are trying to cause a frenzy so that we get desperate and we say, I'll take this medication even if I have to go, direct to pharma. And so it just helps us to push the people out of the picture that they're trying to push out anyhow, which is the pharmacies and the providers that are treating you. Okay? That's what this is all about. It's not a supply issue. It's not a trucking issue. It's not a reagent issue. It's not a this issue or that issue. This is something that is unfortunately contrived. And I explained to you the reason. So what do we do about it? Well, you lose weight, get off as many medications as you can. Okay? Believe it or not, there are natural supplements that help with weight loss maintenance and with weight loss, and we'll be getting into that in the future too. So there's things you can even grow out in your backyard that can help you maintain weight loss. So here's my super statement of the day. You need to you truly need to separate yourself from Big Pharma as much as possible by getting as healthy as you can and staying there. Okay? Because this stuff that we're seeing out there is just going to continue, unfortunately, to grow and get worse. We've seen problems with insulin now. We've seen problems with thyroid medication. I had a patient who could not get her insulin pump parts. It's getting to a place where it's becoming very scary. Now they've stopped production on Flovent. Just stop production, no reason. There's no backup, which is asthma medication that's used for children to keep them out of the hospital. There's some weird stuff going on, okay? So our goal is going to be, and always has been in the medical weight loss world, get you off as much stuff as we can. And if we have to put one or two things to keep you there, then we're going to find things that are safe, effective, and available. Okay? But that's kind of a contorted answer to the question, but that's the truth. That's what's happening. And so we do the best we can to chase it. Right now it seems that Zepbound is available and covered for the injectables. They still will cover Mounjaro and Ozempic by and large because for people with diabetes. But Wegovy is a no-go right now because it's not available. So for everybody else who has, who wants to lose weight, who's not diabetic, Zepbound for now is available. But the other guys, the old guys that we were talking about before, Phentermine, Topamax, even Vyvanse, some of these other players that have been out there, why are still out there and they're still good. Okay, Tracy! Wow! Hi! It's been a while. All right. So I think I got that one. Okay, and then Sherry, why do some people look so unhealthy who are taking injectables? Have you guys seen people out there who are taking them who just don't look good? I will tell you, it's because they're starving. Yeah. So you could take a refugee and you could take someone who's on Ozempic and just look at their features and check their blood work, and you're going to see similar things. They're going to have low albumin. They're going to have low protein in their blood. They are going to have nutritional deficiencies. And it is all going to be because they're not eating enough. Okay, so what we need to do is encourage people to have a good nutrition plan, to get enough protein in. If their appetite center is turned off too much because they're on too high a dose, then that drug needs to go down or something else needs to be changed. Okay? All right, last one. This is by Keith, and he says, I'm at my goal on Mounjaro. My diabetes is gone. Awesome. I love to hear that. I feel great. I'm so afraid of losing this medication. I feel like my life depends on it. What can I do? All right. I actually feel so sorry for you, Keith, because I think there's a lot of people in your shoes. And what I will say is this: know that there are always other alternatives out there, and this one drug is not the only answer, and it never was. Okay, we had as much success with weight loss, getting people to lose hundreds of pounds before injectables, and we will continue to do that afterwards. Okay, the key is to be on a multidisciplinary plan to cover your nutritional needs, your behavioral needs, your exercise and movement needs, and to deal with the medications appropriately that you're on. Take off the ones that are weight gaining, like the metoprolol. And if we need to put something on, there's a lot of choices. So don't worry about that. Just do the best you can while you're on it and while it's available, and then we'll slide something else in if you run into trouble. Okay? Woo! All right, is the baby out yet? I don't see any reports on that, so we'll just keep rooting Shania on. And I thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate the back and forth dialogue. It makes it more interesting. And if you have any further questions, once we close out, just throw them in the chat and I'll answer them, at a future time. I always go back and look at them and answer whatever's on there that comes from people that watch it afterwards. So just throw it in there, okay? Don't forget to follow us on social media. We're Dr. Wendy Cinta for Instagram. For Facebook, it's Medical Weight Loss of New York. We also have a YouTube site I think it's under Medical Weight Loss of New York too. And so join us and catch the other things that we've been talking about. Lots of fun topics. All right, and you get to see Saki the Wonder Dog too in some of them. All right, well, you guys have a great night. It was so wonderful to be part of your night, and I hope that you continue to do great with your plan and continue to get healthy. All right, have a great evening. We'll talk soon. Bye now.